Right, I'm just adjusting the camera slightly because it's I need to be able to see what's going on. So I'm going to start. I don't know if anybody's joined me from XWAF Crafty Place, but what I'll do is I will record this and I'll upload it later if people can't join right now. Unfortunately, Facebook Live is clearly what the problem is. I didn't go on this morning for the macrame session because every time I tried to start it, it just kept dropping out, and it was, you know, it wasn't even recording a minute or more. I started this session about 10 minutes early just to see what would happen. Again, we're having exactly the same problem with Facebook Live. It's clearly not my broadband because YouTube Live is working fine. I think the problem lies with Facebook Live, but we'll get started anyway. Hopefully a few people can make it across from the group, and we'll but while we're in the preamble, what we're going to do is talk about the hooks for starters. Crochet hooks come in all shapes and sizes. You get these ones with the kind of ergonomic type handles, again in all different shapes and sizes. You get some that are straight with just a little kind of thumb hold rest, if you like, metal. This is one I got free with something, some wool, I think. These are like cheap acrylic ones, which are the ones that I started off with. Yeah, just while I was trying to get to grips with it. These ones, again with an ergonomic handle. These, which is, yeah, these are like my favourites. They're so pretty. They've just got some beautiful colours in the wood. But you know, you can start off with cheap and cheerful while you're learning. It's not a problem. And then this one, which I just bought it to try. It's a furls of some description. Can't remember which. 5mm, but they're actually quite comfy to crochet with because the handles, you know, it's a decent shape. But so the one thing to comment on crochet hooks, when you look at the shape of the tip, you can see there's the hook and then there's a groove. When you are crocheting, you need to be conscious that you make your stitch and push it up onto this part of the hook, the fatter part of the hook, which in this case is 5mm wide. If you make a stitch but only pull it up to here, that's not going to be a 5mm hook loop, if you like, and it's going to make it extremely difficult to put the hook through, pull some yarn through. You'll feel like your tension is just so tight that you can't even make a stitch. So you need to be aware, because some of these hooks have got quite a short gradient, like this one for example. It's not too bad. The wooden one is not too bad, but they are, you know, there's quite a long gradient there. You need to make sure that you're pushing the yarn up onto the 5mm part of the hook, or whatever millimeter part of the hook. So that's hooks. You can use whatever you feel comfortable with. In terms of which hook to use for which yarn, there's no hard and fast rules. Usually every yarn ball will come with a what do you call them? Yeah, a sleeve, which recommends what size knitting needles to use. Some of them also say what size crochet hook to use, but not all. So as a general rule of thumb, if it hasn't got a crochet hook size, you can sort of go roughly off what the knitting needle size is. The other thing to mention is that a hook size will help with your tension. So if you are, you know, one of those people who likes to make little tension squares, I've got to confess I'm not, but if you are, if you like to do a tension square, and you find that the resulting square is too small, that means your tension's really tight, and therefore going up a hook size might bring it back to the right size, bring your square to the right size, and vice versa. If your square is too big, your tension's very loose, and therefore going down a hook size will bring it back to hopefully bring it back to the right size. Maybe one hook size, maybe two hook sizes, you know, it's a bit of trial and error, to be honest. Now this particular yarn that I've got here for demo purposes, this is Women's Institute. It's quite a chunky yarn just because it shows up better for tutorials. It's what's left over from a granny hexagon cardigan that I did. On the sleeve, the yarn sleeve, it recommended 9mm knitting needles. I'm not using a 9mm crochet hook. I'm going to use this one, which is 6mm. So without further ado, we'll start with some basic stitches. So the first thing to say is most crochet patterns will start with either a starting chain or a magic circle. So we will briefly touch on the magic circle here first. There'll be more on that tomorrow in the granny square tutorial, 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So if you are going to start with the magic circle, which is, say, frequently called for, you're going to hold the yarn in your fingers. You are going to wrap it in a bit of a cross like that, and then you are going to push your hook under the front one and bring the back one through and twist it, making sure that you go up onto the fat part of the hook. For a magic circle, it will usually then say do your magic circle and chain 2, for example. So I'll just very briefly show you that. That wasn't very good, but never mind. Chain 2, and then it will say, and then make however many double crochets, for example, into your magic circle, or single crochets, or whatever the pattern calls for. So I'm just going to do a couple like this just to show you the principle of the thing. So make a few stitches, and then it'll tell you when it comes time to close the magic circle, you're just going to grab this end and you're going to pull it super tight like that. And then usually it tells you, like for something like that, that would be a good semicircle starting point, if you see what I mean. If you're going to wanted to make a shawl or something like that, that would be a good place to start. But that's how you do it. You just basically pull this end until it's tight, and then what that does is it makes sure that there isn't a hole in the middle of your piece, whatever that may be, whether it be a granny square or a, you know, a little flower circle or whatever. It just makes it easier. Sometimes a granny square will start with a starting chain, and it'll tell you to chain X amount and then slip stitch to form a ring, and that's what we're going to start with here. So if you're going to do a starting chain, the very first starting point is to make a slip stitch. So basically just loop the yarn, drag the yarn through and tighten it up. There's your slip stitch on your hook. Now chain stitch, which is 9 times out of 10 how you're going to start a pattern. You bring the yarn over the hook. Oh, let's talk about holding the yarn. You'll find your own way of doing it, whatever's comfortable for you. I tend to wrap it around my little finger to get started. Quite often that just drops by the wayside, and then I hold it out like this using either this finger or this finger, or you know, just depends really. In terms of actually bringing the yarn over, some people do it that way. You can do it that way, but it will completely change the look of your crochet. If you want, I'm going to zoom in slightly now because we're so if you want to make it look nice and uniform, you need to bring the yarn over from the back to the front, and that way it nicely slips into the end of the hook. So you're gonna just yarn over and pull it through, and that is your first chain stitch. So to start for this one, we'll do a chain of 7. That's 2, yarn over, grab the yarn and pull it through. That's 3, yarn over, grab the yarn, pull it through. 4, yarn over, pull it through. 5, 6 and 7. So there's a starting chain of 7. Now, say quite often for things like a granny circle or any round type motif, it will say slip stitch to the first chain to join. So you would look at your stitches, and there's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that was the first stitch. The way that you will slip stitch to that is you will stick your hook into that first stitch. I normally hold this tail end just out of the way, yarn over, pull it through the first stitch and pull it through the last stitch, and there's your circle. Usually then it will tell you to work X amount of whatever type of stitch into that circle, and obviously because it's a circle, the first row usually starts with making 2 stitches into each stitch so that it will expand for the outside of the circle. But what I'm going to do now, because this is basic stitches tutorial, that was just how to do a slip stitch basically. We're going to go back to the where we had our starting chain of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that will give us, I'm going to do one more, which is just to bring the yarn up to start the next row, because what we're going to do first is we're going to do a full row of single crochet. Now the chain 1, which is what you would see at the end of each row, it'll say chain so many and turn your work. So that one we're not going to work into it. Single crochet, you've got your, this, when you're counting your stitches, by the way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, this loop on the hook does not count. You never count that in. So we've got 8 stitches there, and what we're going to do is skip the first chain and work a single crochet into the second chain and all of the other chains down this row. So single crochet, you put your hook through, you wrap the yarn over, pull up a loop like that. You then yarn over again, grab the yarn and pull it through the 2 loops that are on the hook. That is a single crochet. Let me clarify that. That is a US single crochet. There are different terms for crochet. There are UK and US terms. The majority of patterns that you'll find, whether they be free or on the internet or whatever, you need to make sure whether they're using UK terms or US terms. A lot of the UK crocheters on sort of YouTube and things like that, they tend to use US terms. I've written a couple of patterns. I also use US terms, quite simply because it makes more sense to my brain. So I use the US terms when I'm doing my abbreviations. So I'll try and kind of talk you through what they would be. But normally when I'm referring to the stitches, I am going to be talking in US terms. I'll briefly mention what the UK equivalent is. If you do find a pattern that's in UK crochet terms, easiest way to do it is to download a comparison chart from Google or whatever. So we're going to do another single crochet. We're going in through the chain. We're going to yarn over and pull up at, hang on a minute, what we got going on there? I put an extra loop on, didn't I? Ignore that. I was trying to do a half double crochet for you. So, all right, we'll try that again. You've just got your 1 loop on the hook. Go through the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook. Next stitch, go through your work, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. If you're not sure which stitch you've just gone into, if you pull the work like this, you can see that that thread is coming out of this stitch. So this stitch is the next one that you need to work in. It's a good idea when you're starting out to use a lighter coloured yarn to make it easier to see the stitches. Don't start on black because it's notoriously difficult. Once you get used to it, it's not a problem, but initially I would start with a lighter coloured wool. So right, finish this row of single crochet. Go through the work, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook. Next one, through the work, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both loops on the hook. Then 2 more stitches to do. Through the work, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. And the last one in this row, through the work, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. And that is a row of 7 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. These wheatiers here, or plait or whatever you think it resembles, those are the 2 loops that you're going to be making your next stitches through. unless the pattern tells you to do otherwise. So normally when you get to the end of a row, the pattern will say chain 1, 2, 3, whatever, and turn. So we just do a chain by yarn over, pulling up. On this particular row, I'm only going to do 1. Then you have to turn your work. It's entirely up to you which way you want to turn it. For me, I tend to turn it that way. However, I could turn it that way if I wanted to. Again, it gives a slightly different look up the sides. Doesn't really matter which way you turn it, as long as you're consistent and you turn it the same way every time. That's the crux of it. So we've done a chain 1 and we're going to turn the work. Now, when you are looking at your work now, you will see along here there are 2 loops, 2 loops, 2 loops, 2 loops, 2 loops, 2 loops. They're not the 2 loops you want to work through. You have to make sure that you turn and look at the top of the stitches from the row below, and these are the 2 loops that you want to work through. Don't confuse it with these 2 loops. It's these 2 loops. So we're going to ignore that chain 1 because that was just to bring the height of the yarn up to start our next row. And we're going to work into the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches that we've got on the row. You need to be sure, especially when you're starting out, that you're starting at the right place and that you're finishing at the right place. Don't, because that one is kind of sloped off there, don't ignore it. You make sure you put your last stitch in here. So what we're going to have to do, what we are going to do next is a row of US half double crochet. Just for information purposes, a US single crochet is called a UK double crochet. This one, which is a US half double crochet, is called a UK half treble crochet. It's very confusing, but I'm sticking with US terms. So a half double crochet, before you go through the work, you are going to yarn over. So you've now got 2 loops on your hook. And then what you're going to do is go through the work, making sure that you go through both of those loops that you see on the top. And then you are going to yarn over and pull up a loop. So now you've got 3 loops on your hook. Then a half double crochet is a yarn over, and you're going to pull that through all 3 loops on the hook. Okay, we'll do that again. So yarn over, go through the work, yarn over, pull up a loop. And then to finish, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook. Again, yarn over, through the work, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook. Okay, yarn over, through the work, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3, US half double crochet, yarn over, through, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3, yarn over, through, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. If you're not sure how many stitches you've done, count from the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we know there's 7 stitches in this row, and that's our last one there, which is the one that tends to get forgotten. And if you haven't got the same number of stitches on your row, that's probably why you've probably forgotten the last stitch there. So yarn over, doesn't want to go through the work, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. Now you can see the difference. That there is your row of single crochet, and that is your row of half double crochet. It's taller, your work will work up faster. So next row we're going to do a US double crochet, which is in the UK called a treble crochet. I'll just pull some more yarn out. Oops. So the next row is going to be double crochet. So at the end of this row we are going to chain 2, and turn the work. So a double crochet, start with a yarn over. You can ignore these 2 chains, they're the ones that we've just done to bring the work up. Start with the yarn over and go through the work. You're then going to yarn over and pull up a loop. So the first part of the stitch is exactly the same as a half double crochet. Half double crochet, you pull through all 3 loops. On a double crochet, you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through 2 loops only, which leaves 2 loops on the hook. And then you're going to yarn over and pull through those last 2 loops. That is a double crochet. So then we're going to do it again, yarn over, through the work, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops on the hook, leaves you with 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops, and again, yarn over, through the work, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, through the work, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That is US double crochet, UK treble crochet. We'll finish off these last 3, yarn over, through the work, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, through, loop, yarn over, 2, yarn over, 2. On the last one on this row, yarn over, make sure you get through both loops of that stitch. It's always a bit tricky on the last one. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and there you've got a row of double crochet. So you can see this is your row of single crochet, this is your row of half double crochet, and that is your row of double crochet. Double crochet grows even faster because it's got more height on it. So the next thing we'll do is a treble crochet. So for that I'm going to chain up 3 and turn the work. So for a treble crochet, and this is a US treble crochet, in the UK they call it a double treble, but ignore the 3 chains there, that's just to bring the work up. Treble crochet, US treble crochet, yarn over the hook twice, then you go through your first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, which gives you 4 stitches, 4 loops rather, on your hook. You're going to go yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So it's like the same principle as a double crochet, except for there's 1 extra loop. So we'll do that again. Yarn over twice, go through the work, yarn over, pull up a loop. You've got 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Treble crochet. 1, 2 times round the hook, through the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, through 2, yarn over, through 2, yarn over, through 2. So that is a US treble crochet. Next one, yarn over the hook twice, go through the work, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So what I will do just for these last 3 stitches is show you a US double treble, which is 1, 2, 3 wraps around the hook, through the work, pull up a loop. In exactly the same principle, you yarn over and take off 2 loops at a time. But obviously you can see already there's a height difference. So 1, 2, 3, through the work, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, take off 2 at a time, yarn over, 2 at a time, yarn over, 2, yarn over, 2. And the final one, 3 wraps through the last stitch, pull up a loop, 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I'm going to lay it flat so you can see. We're going up. That's because the first 4 were US treble crochet, the last 3 were US double treble crochet. So you've got your line of single crochet, which is this little piece at the bottom, going from there to there. Well, you've got your chain obviously, then that's your single crochet. Then you've got your half double crochet up to there. Then you've got your double crochet up to there, and then you've got your treble, and there you've got your double treble. So the more times you wrap, the higher the stitches, and obviously the holier the stitches, the holier the finished pieces. These, you know, single crochet, half double crochet, they're quite dense. Double crochet's got some little holes, but it's not too bad. But when you start getting up to trebles and double trebles, you know, you're in for some holy work sort of thing. So that is the basic crochet stitches. What I will do actually is just chain 1 turn. I'm going to show you, like, one of the other things that you will often see on a pattern is BLO or FLO, which is back loop only, front loop only. So I'm going to do, because obviously this is it's going to be on the slant, it doesn't matter for demonstration purposes. I'm just going to do a row of single crochet just to start it off, and then I'm going to show you how you do the front loop only, back loop only stitches. Chain 1 turn. Right, so there's my row of single crochet. So quite often on a pattern you'll see it tells you to working in the front loops only or working in the back loops only. So if it tells you to work in the front loops only, we're going to carry on in single crochet just to make it easier. You literally will just pick up that front part of the stitch, and you will not work into that part of the stitch. Front loop only. We'll do half and half, single crochet, front loop, so we'll do 3 front loops. Right, so on this side that's what it looks like. If it says work in the back loops only, same, just obviously you tilt the work towards you to make sure you are working into the right loops. You're going to go down through this back loop and you'll see something interesting happen. If you're working in the back loops only, you will find that it gives you a ribbed effect. Now you can see where I did the front loop only, you're still getting that ribbed effect there, but it's not bringing it close. If you wanted something that looked like a knitted rib, the way to achieve it is by working in the back loops only, and then it pushes this loop forward and it gives you effectively a rib stitch. So it's useful if you're doing I don't know, a rib on the bottom of a cardigan or bottom of sleeves or anything like that, or in fact if you just wanted to make a rib top. So that is basic crochet stitches. single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, treble crochet, double treble, and then front and back loops only. So that's it for this basic stitch tutorial. Hope it's been useful. I will load it up to the group once it's finished recording. I'll stick it on the group files, seeing as how it was meant to be an event on there on Facebook Live. But we will, the macrame session will be on here in about 45 minutes. I'm also going to do that on YouTube because I think it's Facebook Live that is the problem. So I'll be posting a link to that shortly on the group, and that's it. Cheerio for today. Tomorrow is another crochet session at 7 o'clock, and that is going to be magic circles in more detail and basic granny squares, including how to join them together and how to change your yarn colour. Okay, that's it for today then. Bye ladies.